Thursday evening, you're home from your boring temp job, and there's a message from your agent. In this story, you are a 5-foot-tall actor with dark curly hair who's been waiting for her big break. Congratulations, darling! Get your beauty rest because you've a call back tomorrow at 9 for the lead in Les Miserables. And from that moment until 9:15 the next morning, you can't remember a thing. You see, inside your brain, in all of our brains, lives a teeny tiny little chemist. She runs a very well-stocked pharmacy. There's adrenaline, there's cortisol, there's epinephrine, very different from eponine, the role I'm about to audition for. Really good meds. She is also working overtime as a security guard. She's on high alert 24/7. She knows her job is to release these chemicals in life and death situations. Unfortunately, our pharmacist, also known as the amygdala, is a little neurotic, and she will sometimes confuse an audition for, say, being attacked by a bear. So now, it's Friday morning, 9:15 after my audition. I'm standing on the street in the freezing cold rain, frantically looking for my car keys. They're not in my backpack. They're not in my pockets. They're not in my purse. They're hanging from the ignition inside my car. The door is locked, and I've left the motor running. My brain has been hijacked by my brain. Monday morning, my agent calls. Darling, what happened? They said you sang beautifully, but you looked more like the bride of Frankenstein than a French peasant. What happened was a crippling case of stage fright. Needless to say, I didn't get the part. Stage fright, date fright, boss fright, test fright, all different forms of anxiety and fear. You might be as amazed as I was to learn that members of the American Psychological Association say we're in the middle of a global anxiety epidemic. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that 20% of Americans will face some kind of anxiety disorder at some point in their lives. You might know somebody right now. In New Zealand, the number of reported anxiety cases have doubled in the last decade. I, too, have seen an increase in the number of people seeking relief from their stage fright or their boss fright. In addition to my work as an actor, I now help people figure out how to shine during high stakes, or what I like to call spotlight moments. Moments like asking for a raise or giving a presentation to your boss, or worse, your boss's boss. As a result, I've done a lot of research into simple tools that can be surprisingly effective. And so I would like to introduce you to Lydia Angiou, a 5-foot-tall mother of 2 who weighs about 90 pounds. In the summer of 2006, she is awarded a medal by the Governor General of Canada for bravery in the face of grave danger. 4 months before, she was out for a walk with her 7-year-old son in her little village of Vujovic when he suddenly screams, "Mama! Mama!" And the next thing Lydia knows, she is wrestling a 7-foot-tall, 800-pound polar bear to the ground. Local police chief said that he had never seen anything like it. She saves her son and several other children from becoming lunch meat, and all she gets? A black eye. So, what's going on here? I get a simple message on my answering machine go into full-blown amygdala hijack. Lydia comes face to face with a huge hungry bear, turns into a superhero from Marvel Comics. Turns out what's going on is a phenomena called hysterical strength. When Lydia's tiny little chemist released cortisol and adrenaline into her bloodstream, an extraordinary thing happened. All of that energy went 1,000% into the task at hand. And Lydia isn't the only one that this has happened to. In the early 1960s, an astonished passerby watches as a young woman lifts a car with her bare hands. He realized that her baby had crawled underneath. Years later, in an interview, he's quoted as saying, "I suddenly realized that in moments of desperation, we can all do that." That passerby, an artist by the name of Jack Kirby. And what does he do? Creates a comic book character, calls him the Incredible Hulk, which gives me an idea. What if I could become more hulking? What if I thought about my own adrenaline and cortisol as being performance enhancing drugs that would turn my fear into my secret weapon? And as I was formulating this idea, I learned that there is a small window of time, around 6 seconds, between the moment where cortisol is released and when it dissipates through the bloodstream. 6 seconds. It doesn't sound very long, but during that magic window of time, you can exert some control over how your body interprets and then processes the chemicals. So I decided to do an experiment. I put out a call to my clients who suffer from stage fright or from boss fright, and I invited them to participate in a study. 21 people aged 30 to 65 met once a week for 6 weeks to reframe the voice of the anxious little chemist in their head. At the beginning of the study, 71% of the group said that they felt high levels of anxiety on average 28 times per week. That's 4 times a day. We used several different tools. First, we kept journals to notice the physical signs of our own anxiety. Mine is this kind of motor running feeling that I get here in my chest. I'm sure that Freud would have a field day with the fact that I left an actual motor running outside my audition that day. We also practiced self-talk in a very precise way using our own first names. Carol, that feeling in your chest, that's your superpower. This last technique comes from the work from 11 neuroscientists from the University of Michigan and Michigan State University. They found that by talking to yourself as if you are encouraging another person, basically taking your anxious little chemist out of the conversation, you can decrease the fear response. By the end of the study, 90% of participants, including me, said that they felt low amounts of anxiety only once or twice per week. I don't have that many regrets in life, but one regret that I do have, more of a disappointment really, is I never got cast in Les Miserables. And not just because it would have been a cool experience and an impressive resume credit, but more because if I had been cast, I would have had a chance to sing this song. Let the beating of your heart echo the beating of a drum. There is a life about to start when tomorrow comes. And I think if I had had a chance to sing that song every single night for 9 months, I would have learned the lesson of turning fright or fear into might or power much earlier in my life. And so my offer to you today is, let the beating of your heart echo the beating of a drum. The moment that you feel your pulse start to get a little bit faster, or your face start to get hot, or whatever your own physical signal of anxiety is, I want you to remember that you've got this magic window of time to take a nice deep breath. Speak to yourself in the third person. Remind yourself that the sensations that you're feeling in your body, they're raw energy to help you do the big hulking thing, and focus 1,000% on the task at hand. Because there is a life about to start, and it belongs to you when tomorrow comes. My name is Carol Lempert, and I'm a speaker who dares.